This is Aikido for Emotions, the course that teaches you how to take control of your emotions rather than allowing them to control you. This is Module 2, Lesson 1, where we start teaching the actual processes that do the work here. All right, let's get down to business. Now, the touch exercise is almost mind-numbingly simple. It consists of 3 steps. Step 1, stroke some part of your body. I recommend the palm of your hand, or the palm of your non-dominant hand. That allows you to use your dominant hand to do the stroking, and the palm of your hand is quite sensitive. So the stroke you keep doing for 30 seconds to 60 seconds. And as you do that stroke, you will notice really 2 kinds of sensations. One are the ones that I call the direct sensations. That's the actual sensation on your fingertip and the actual sensation on the palm of your hand. Now, the other kind of sensation are what we call the response sensations. Now, this is a sensation that your mind generates in your body in response to the stroking sensations that you're creating in your hand. It can be a wide range of things. It's typically somewhere in your trunk, below your neck, above your hips, somewhere in there. I have no way of predicting what you will experience, but it's somewhere in there. And the objective of this exercise is all about mindfulness, being mindful of what's going on in your body. Notice, relax, let go of all the miscellaneous and irrelevant comments that your mind is chattering away about. Focus on your body and notice whatever you notice. For example, as I stroke, right now, the first thing I notice is a small tension right here at somewhere near my larynx. And then I notice at the level of my solar plexus, probably my diaphragm, a small tension that I would describe it as sort of has a little bulge in the center. And as I continue to stroke, that bulge gets a little bigger. Now, that's an example of my personal response sensation. Yours is unlikely to be the same. It could be, but more likely you'll have your own idiosyncratic way of responding. And frankly, at this point, the response doesn't mean anything other than that you were able to notice it. And the purpose of this whole touch exercise is simply to get you more in touch, to hone your skills of noticing what's going on in your body. We're not worried about the significance or meaning of anything that you do notice, just that you're able to notice it. So step 1, stroke for 30 to 60 seconds. Notice the response sensations, the direct sensations, and the response sensations. After you finish, after you've noticed something, stop stroking. Maybe if you stroke for 30 seconds, then you stop. And now your assignment in this part of the exercise is to notice what happens to the sensations that you noticed. Do they stop instantly? Do they fade rapidly? Do they get stronger and then weaker? Anything could happen. The objective, again, is this is really doing 2 things. One, you're continuing your mindfulness of the sensations in your body. And the other thing is to teach you that just because the external stimulus stops, that doesn't mean the sensation goes away. And for this, when I stop, the sensation I described on my diaphragm with a little bulge in it, that drops fairly rapidly. That's gone within a few seconds. The tension at my larynx, again, that dropped very quickly, probably even more rapidly than the one in my diaphragm. The direct sensations, though, and for me, it's kind of I'd call it somewhere in between a tickle and an itch. It's one of those kind of things that lingers. It makes me want to just rub it. It's not unpleasant. It's more pleasant than unpleasant, but it's something that's there, and it can linger if I don't sort of rub it out. It can linger for as long as I stroke, like for 30 seconds. It lasts, so it's kind of cool. Now, that's the second part of the exercise. The third part is kind of interesting. And this hints at what we're going to be doing in the next exercise, the one on emotional control that's in lesson 2 of this module. And that is, I want you to imagine that you're stroking the palm of your hand with your index finger. Imagine it. Don't actually do it. Just imagine it. And notice what you feel. Do you feel the direct sensations? Can you feel that sort of tickle itch sensation in the palm of your hand? Can you feel the response sensations? Ideally, if you want to achieve what I call basic mastery of this exercise, you'll want to keep repeating it. And the whole thing can be done in less than 2 minutes. So this is not a time demanding process. You'll want to repeat the whole thing until you can clearly and distinctly feel the response, the direct sensations in the palm of your hand. You want to keep repeating it until you can feel response sensations. And again, just because I felt something in my larynx and something in my diaphragm doesn't mean that's where you're going to notice something. It could be virtually anything. It's almost always in the trunk, below your neck and hips up, somewhere in there, more likely to be in the center than the sides, but that's just statistical. You're a statistic of 1. It could happen for you anywhere. The point is to notice it. Second step of basic mastery is to make sure that you're aware of what happens when you stop stroking. And the third step for basic mastery is to be able to imagine the touch and feel both the direct response and the response sensations. Now, because you have just been mindful of what the response sensations feel like when you did the physical touching, you know what to expect. So you know what you are, well, looking for is the wrong word because this is a feeling. You know what you're feeling for. And if you choose to do this exercise enough to gain basic mastery, that's what you will be able to do. So next up, in the next lesson, we're going to learn about emotional control. And this one's a doozy. Stay tuned for the next lesson.